Hey there folks, it's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and for this week's videos, I will be unboxing and then upgrading the second of the 4 Doctor Who Universes Beyond Commander Precons, Timey-Wimey. Before I get to today's video, I want to first take a moment to let you know that if you'd like to help support my channel, you can do so in the following ways. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, share any of my content on your socials so other people can discover it, and/or watch some of my many other videos yourself. In addition to that, if you're interested in ways that you can help support my channel monetarily, please read the description of this video, and there you will find a myriad of options for what you can do to help me keep this channel going. Anything that you can do to help is greatly appreciated, and I thank you for it. Now with that out of the way, let's begin. Today's video will be the unboxing of the precon, where I'll show you everything that comes in the box, including the deck card by card. And then tomorrow, I will release the upgrade guide, where I'll show you some options on what I believe you should take out and add back in to help make the deck play a little better. Just like last week's precon, this one uses the Doctor's Companion mechanic, giving you access to 2 commanders out of the command zone. If you want to know exactly how that works, go watch the Blast from the Past unboxing where I explain it all in detail. For now though, let's look at the suggested commander that's on the front of the box, the 10th Doctor. This version of the Doctor is 1 blue, 1 red, and 3 generic mana for a 3/5 legendary Time Lord Doctor with the following 2 abilities. The first ability says, whenever you attack, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Put 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. The second ability says that for each time you pay 7 mana, time travel 3 times, but it can only be activated as a sorcery. Time travel in Magic means that for each suspended card that you own, and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. In the case of the 10th Doctor's ability, you do this 3 times per activation. As for the companion, the back of the box shows Rose Tyler, so I can only assume that's who is the suggested one for this precon, but I'll go over that while showing you the deck. What I can gather from the 10th Doctor's abilities is that this deck's theme will center around time counters and the suspend mechanic, which I believe is the first time Wizards has done this. If that's the case, I'm wondering if they also included any of the ways to exploit the suspend mechanic, but for some reason I doubt it. The only way to find out is to rip this bad boy open and show you what's in the box. So here is the box. This is the Timey-Wimey precon. It's white, red, and blue. Has the 10th Doctor as the suggested commander on the front. And then here's a little bit of it about it on the back. And again, it does do the plane chase thing again. All of them do. I'm not really keen on the plane chase stuff, but let's open her up and take a look at everything inside. Get out there. We've got all the extra pieces. Alright, so the front of the extra pieces here, we've got the little cutouts that don't do anything. We've got counters here. Looks like the TARDIS is on them. And then the Planeswalker symbol on the others. And then on the back, we've got the 2 little ones here. We've got the little insert. Has a little bit about the deck, about playing the deck, extra commander rules for those that don't know the rules, which I don't know why you wouldn't. And then this one has the 10th Doctor and Rose Tyler on the back. So my assumption is that that is the combination that they're going to use as far as the 10th Doctor with Rose Tyler instead of the one that he stayed with longer. I'm okay with that because I didn't like her. Life wheel. Pretty simple. Just if you're not aware of anything about Doctor Who, that the actor who plays that one and that version of the Doctor is the, oh, look at that damaged box right out of there. That's great. That is the most popular version of the Doctor, arguably. Some say it's Matt Smith. Some say it's Dave Tennant. Either way, this is what the box looks like, even though it's a little destroyed. And then we have, so that was an anomaly, I guess, in the last box, because I got 2 Collector's Booster sample packs, and I'm not going to argue or say anything bad about it. You know, I didn't get anything too spectacular out of them, but at least it was an extra one. All right, so here I'm just going to real quickly go over the plane chase cards. And then if you want to read them, you can pause if you want. The Lux Foundation Library, Lake Silencio, Amy's House, God Sphere, or I'm sorry, Ood Sphere, Human Time Trial Meta Crisis, Bad Wolf Bay, Two Streams Facility, Prime Minister's Cabinet, New York, and Pompeii. So if you want to take a look at them any closer, you can pause the video. Sample pack. Let's get this one out of the way. I'm not really sure if there's anything in here that might be worth having or valuable, but let's zoom and we'll take a look and see what we get. All right, first card is Davros Dalek Creator, which is obviously the creator of the Daleks. If you don't know what they are, you haven't seen the show. And then The Wedding of River Song. Okay, I don't know monetarily what these are worth, and I'll have that up there for you, the prices, so that you can see. But let's do what we're here for, and that's open the deck and show you what's inside. There we go. Throw that aside. We'll cut the deck in half like I like to do to make it easier to wield, and then show you everything. So I've gone over the 10th Doctor, so you don't need to hear me talk about that. This is the thick version. It's in a different, feel. Here's the actual version of the 10th Doctor. And then we've got Rose Tyler. So it was Rose Tyler with the 10th Doctor. Rose Tyler is two mana for a 2/2 that says that it gets +1/+1 for each time counter on it. And then it has Bad Wolf. It says whenever Rose Tyler attacks, put a time counter on it for each suspended card you own and each other permanent you control with a time counter on it. And this is a Doctor's Companion. I'm sure there's going to be a couple of them in here, Doctor's Companions. I explained that in last week's video. Next, we have Wilfred Mott, 4 to cast 2/4, an ability that says at the beginning of your upkeep, you put a time counter on Wilfred Mott. Then look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of time counters on Wilfred Mott. And then you may put a non-land permanent with a mana value of 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Everybody Lives. This is actually a pretty good card if I remember. It's 2 to cast for an instant that says all creatures gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, and players gain hexproof until end of turn, and players can't lose life this turn, and players can't lose the game or win the game this turn. Basically, it's like a really different version of the other one that does this for white. That's kind of expensive. It protects you completely, but this one protects everybody. Everything comes to dust. So it is 10 to cast, has Convoke to make it a little easier to cast, and then it says exile all creatures except for those that share a creature type with a creature that you convoked this spell, all artifacts, and all enchantments. 4 Nox, so 4 to cast enchantment, has Vanishing. Basically, it's fading for the most part. So it comes into play with 4 counters, and then each upkeep you remove one, and when the last one is removed, it goes away. It says at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, draw a card. The Pandorica, 3 to cast legendary enchantment. You may choose not to untap it during your untap step, and then you can pay 2 and tap it to untap another target non-land permanent. Then it phases out. It can't phase back in as long as this remains tapped, and when it becomes untapped or leaves the battlefield, that permanent phases in. Oh, look, The Wedding of River Song again. It's 3 to cast for a sorcery that says draw 2 cards. Then you may exile a non-land card from your hand with a number of time counters equal to the mana value. And then target opponent does the same. And then cards exiled this way, if they don't have suspend, they gain suspend. And then it has time travel, which says that for each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove one of those time counters. So that's what time travel does. Next up is Oedipus Offspring. It's a 4 to cast 2/2 with Emerge. The Emerge cost is 6, and it says when Oedipus Offspring enters the battlefield, you create a 2/2 white alien creature token. If Oedipus Offspring's Emerge cost was paid, instead, you create X of those tokens, where X is the sacrifice creature's toughness. Astrid Peth, 2 to cast 2/2. It says whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you create a food token. And then another ability says whenever you sacrifice a clue or a food, Astrid Peth explores. Crack in Time. So this is a 4 to cast enchantment that has Vanishing 3. And then when it enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you exile target creature that an opponent controls until Crack in Time leaves the battlefield. The Girl in the Fireplace is a 3 to cast saga. Has 3 chapters. Chapter 1 reads to create a 1/1 white human noble creature token with Vanishing 3 and prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature. Chapter 2 reads create a 2/2 white horse creature token with doctors that you control have horsemanship. And Chapter 3 reads whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, This turn, you time travel. Next is Martha Jones. 3 to cast 3/2. Says when Martha Jones enters the battlefield, investigate, which means to create a clue token. And whenever you sacrifice a clue, Martha Jones and up to one target creature can't be blocked this turn. And this is a Doctor's Companion. Nanogene Conversion. 4 to cast sorcery. Choose target creature you control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn, except it isn't legendary. Flesh Duplicate. 2 to cast 0/0. You may have Flesh Duplicate enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has Vanishing 3 if that creature doesn't have Vanishing. Okay, so it does go away after a little bit. The 11th Hour. 4 to cast Saga. Has 3 chapters. Chapter 1 says search your library for a Doctor card, reveal it, put it in your hand. Chapter 2 says create a food token and a 1/1 white human creature token with Doctor spells you cast, cost 1 less to cast. And then 3rd chapter says create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's a legendary alien named Prisoner Zero. All of History All at Once is a 4 to cast sorcery that says you time travel, and it has Storm. Donna Noble. 4 to cast 2/4 with Soul Bond. And then whenever Donna or a creature paired with it is dealt combat damage, Donna Noble deals that much damage to target opponent. And then this is going to be a Doctor's Companion, which I'm actually kind of shocked this wasn't the original Doctor's Companion, but I have a feeling it's because of the way that the colors were done to make this the 3-color deck that it is. Amy Pond. This is my favorite companion in the show. 3 cast 2/2. Has partners with Rory Williams, so it can be a partner with Rory Williams, or it can be a companion for a Doctor, so that's kind of nice and diverse. Then whenever Amy Pond deals combat damage to a player, choose a suspended card you own and remove that many time counters from it. And like I said, this can be a Doctor's Companion. Ecstatic Beauty is a 3 to cast sorcery that says exile the top 3 cards of your library, and you may play those cards until end of turn, and put 4 time counters on each of those cards that has Suspend. And this also has Suspend 4. RMS Titanic, 4 to cast 7/1 vehicle. It has flying, trample, and when it deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it and create that many treasure tokens, and it cruises for 3. Alright. Coward and Killer. So it's 2 parts. You either cast it for the coward part, or you cast it for the killer part. Coward says target creature can't block this turn and becomes a coward in addition to its other types until end of turn. And then you draw a card, and Killer says killer deals 3 damage to target creature and each other creature that shares a creature type with it. Alright, The Parting of Ways is another saga. It's 6 to cast with 3 chapters. Chapter 1 reads, exile the top 5 cards of your library. For each non-land card exiled this way, put a number of time counters on that card equal to its mana value. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. Chapter 2 says time travel, then time travel. Okay, so time travel twice. And then the 3rd chapter says for each opponent, destroy up to 1 target artifact that player controls. The 9th Doctor, this is where the 2nd series of Doctor Who started and where I started watching. It's 3 to cast for a 2/4 with haste. The ability is Into the TARDIS, and it says whenever the 9th Doctor becomes untapped, during your next untapped step, you get an additional upkeep after this step. Okay. Sally Sparrow, 4 to cast 2/3. That says you may cast creatures as though they had flash. And whenever 1 or more other creatures you control leave the battlefield, you investigate, but it only triggers once each turn. Jenny Generated Anomaly, 4 to cast 2/3 with double strike, and then whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it explores. Rory Williams, 2 to cast 3/3. It partners with Amy Pond, naturally, because that's what the other one said. It has first strike and lifelink, and then it has an ability called the Last Centurion that says when you cast this spell from anywhere other than exile, exile it with 3 time counters on it, and it gains Suspend, then investigate. The 11th Doctor, 3 to cast 3/2, called I Am Talking. It says whenever the 11th Doctor deals combat damage to a player, you may exile a card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to the mana value, and if it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. And then an ability for 2 and a colon, which means it can be anytime you pay the 2. Target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. The War Doctor, 4 to cast for a 3/5. This is a Time Lord Doctor as well. It says whenever 1 or more other permanents phase out,
And whenever one or more other cards are put into exile from anywhere, you put a time counter on the War Doctor. And then whenever the War Doctor attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of time counters on it to any target. And if a creature dealt damage this way would die, exile it instead of putting it into your graveyard. Regeneration Restored, 2 to cast for an enchantment. This has Vanishing 12, so it stays on the board for 12 turns. And the ability says whenever one or more time counters are removed from Regeneration Restored, scry 1 and you gain a life. Then if Regeneration Restored has no time counters on it, exile it, and when you do, take an extra turn after this one. Idris, Soul of the TARDIS, 3 to cast, 3/3 with Vanishing 3. Has Imprint. It says when it enters the battlefield, exile another artifact you control until it leaves the battlefield. And then Idris has all activated and triggered abilities of the exiled card and gets +X/+X, where X is the exiled card's total mana value. The Face of Bo. So it's 4 to cast for an 0/4. Its ability says to tap it, and you may cast a spell with Suspend from your hand. And if you do, pay its Suspend cost rather than its mana cost. Huh. That's an interesting one. Run for Your Life, 2 to cast instant. Says 1 or 2 target creatures each gain haste until end of turn. They can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. And then it has Escape 4 and exile 4 other cards from your graveyard. The Day of the Doctor, another saga. This one's 5 to cast. This one has 4 chapters. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 read to exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary card. You may play that card for as long as the Day of the Doctor remains on the battlefield. Put the rest of the exiled cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. And the final chapter says to choose up to 3 Doctors. You may exile all other creatures, and if you do, the Day of the Doctor deals 13 damage to you. All right, another one of those double cards. Gallifrey Falls and No More. Gallifrey Falls side says it deals 4 damage to each creature, and if a creature dealt damage this way would die, exile instead. And No More says for 3, any number of target creatures you control phase out. This has Fuse, so you can play that side, or both if you pay the mana cost. All right, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, 6 to cast, 7/7 with Vigilance and Trample. It says other dinosaurs you control get +1/+1 and have Vigilance and Trample. This has Suspend 4 if you pay 1 white, 1 red, and 3. And then whenever a time counter is removed from Dinosaurs on a Spaceship while it's exiled, you create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur creature token with flying and haste. Kate Stewart. So this one is 4 to cast as well for a 3/3. That says whenever you put 1 or more time counters on a permanent you control, you create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. And then whenever Kate Stewart attacks, you may pay 8 mana, and if you do, attacking creatures get +X/+X until end turn, where X is the number of time counters among all permanents that you control. Rotating Fireplace is a 3 to cast artifact that when it enters the battlefield, it enters tapped with a time counter on it. Then it taps to add an amount of colorless mana, that's what that symbol means, equal to the number of time counters on it. Or you can pay 4 and tap it to time travel, but only as a sorcery. The Moment, 2 to cast legendary artifact, says at the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on it. Then you can pay 2 and tap it to untap target creature that you control. It phases out until the moment leaves the battlefield. Or you can pay 3 and tap it to destroy each non-land permanent with mana value less than or equal to the number of time counters on it. Then sacrifice the Moment and activate only as a sorcery. Trenzalore Clock Tower. This is a legendary land. Taps to add a blue, and then you put a time counter on it, and then you can pay 2, tap it, and remove 12 time counters from it, and exile it to shuffle your graveyard and hand in your library, then draw 7 cards, but only if you control a Time Lord. So this was in last week's deck that I opened. This is a one-sided Time Twister with a lot of setup for it. Grasp of Fate, this is a reprint. Farewell, another reprint, but a pretty good board wipe. Out of Time, another reprint. Wedding Ring, this was only available as like a list card in the set that I believe it was Crimson Vow, so that's pretty cool that it was in here. Inspiring Refrain, this is 6 to cast for a sorcery that says draw 2 cards, then exile it with 3 time counters on it. You can also suspend it 3 by paying 3. As foretold, that is definitely a reprint. Fractured Identity, I believe that's a reprint, but I'm going to read it anyway. 5 to cast. For a sorcerer that says exile target non-land permanent. Each player other than its controller creates a token that's a copy of it. A couple of the lands we're going to get into. So Port Town, budget, dual land, Temple of Triumph. I'm going to just send a message or something to WotC. Please stop giving us temples and these things. We have enough budget lands that are better than these that we can actually do better. Do better, Wizards. Exotic Orchard, same thing with this. Temple of Enlightenment, Prairie Stream. See, I mean, it's not an expensive dual land that we could have replaced those things. I know it's already in the deck, but I mean, geez. Come up with other ones. Irrigated Farmland. Oh, one more. Deserted Beach. See, stuff like this. This is a good one. Other half of the deck. Glacial Fortress. Skyclad Expanse. Temple of Epiphany. Frostboil Snarl. Thespian Stage. Not bad. Fury Calm Snarl. War Room. Sunbaked Canyon. Sundown Pass. Storm-Carved Coast. So we're getting into better lands. These are pretty good. Fiery Islet. Atraxi Warden. So it's 6 to cast for a 6/6 with flying. And it says when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target tapped creature, and it has suspend 5 for 2. Wibbly Wobbly Timey-Wimey. So it's a 2 to cast sorcery that lets you time travel and you draw a card. Time Beetle, 2 to cast 1/1 with Skulk, and then another ability that says whenever Time Beetle deals combat damage to a player, you time travel. Star Whale, 8 to cast for an 8/8 flying Vigilance Whale. It says other creatures you control have Ward 2, and then it has Suspend 6 for 2. Sibylline Soothsayer, 3 to cast for a 3/2, with an ability that says whenever it enters the battlefield, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card with a mana value of 3 or greater. Exile that card with 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. Then put the rest of the revealed cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. Judun Enforcers. So it's a 7 to cast, 8/8 with Trample. Says no more than 1 creature can attack you each combat. That's actually not bad. A little expensive mana-wise, but then it has Suspend 6 for 3. So I guess you can get it a little bit cheaper. Psychic Paper, 2 to cast. As Psychic Paper becomes attached to a creature, choose a creature card name and type. The equipped creature has Ward 1. It can't be blocked, and its name and creature type are the last chosen name and creature type. And it equips for 2. TARDIS, this was in the previous one I did last week. I mentioned in the upgrade video, I'm not really happy with how they did the TARDIS. I kind of wish that they made like different versions of the TARDIS for each different Doctor that would fit the decks better, but they didn't. Sonic Screwdriver, that was also in last week's deck. I'm pretty sure there's a reason, because they all have a Sonic Screwdriver. Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Clock Spinning, interesting. Alright, this is a 1 to cast instant with a buyback of 3. That you can choose a counter on target permanent or suspended card and remove that counter from that permanent or card, or put another one of those counters on it. Thought Vessel, Mind Stone, which that's the best version of Mind Stone. That's a Cyberman head. Love that. Talisman of Creativity, Lightning Greaves, Talisman of Conviction, Evolving Wilds, Command Tower, Path of Ancestry, Temple of the False God, that doesn't need to be in here, Myriad Landscape, Thriving Bluff, Mystic Monastery, Ominous Cemetery. I think this is new. It taps to add a card list, or you can pay 5 and tap it and exile it. Target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. Rogue's Passage, that's a reprint. Ooh, I think we're done there. We've got islands, plains, mountains, and then we've got tokens. So I'll show you them real quick. We got Soldier, a couple of them, Human, Clue, Food, Funny Alien, Dinosaurs, Copy, and then Trash. On the other side, more Soldier, Alien, Copy, Dinosaur, Copy, Human Noble, Treasure, Horse, and Dinosaur.
And that, folks, is what is in the Timey-Wimey Universes Beyond Doctor Who Commander Precon. This deck is, in a word, interesting. It simultaneously does many things and nothing at all at the same time. What I mean by that is it does things like add or take away counters, draw cards, remove permanents, and hell, it can even take an extra turn. But what it doesn't do is have a way to win outside of combat damage. Sure, it can make things unblockable occasionally, but none of the creatures are really scary outside of maybe 2 or 3, and they don't really have much synergy with each other to make them a real threat. Don't get me wrong, I like the idea of what this deck does, but I'd like to have seen a clear path to victory on top of all the flash. So, that's what the aim will be for tomorrow's upgrade guide. I will try and find a way to make a clear victory path, while also keeping the main theme of suspend and time counters intact. I'm not even sure if it's possible, but if it is, I'll present it to you. If it's not, then what I'll do is show you some fun stuff that you can do with the suspend mechanic that will at least give the deck some fun and cool interactions. So that's all for this video, but if you're looking for more content to watch, please go browse my channel and take a look at some of my many other videos. I know for a fact that you'll find some that you like, and then be sure to check back tomorrow for the upgrade guide to this precon. Before you go, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Have a great day, and I hope to see you tomorrow.